Hi, Stephen Pilkington here with Doug from 7 Star Home Advisors, and we're going over some common inspection items that we encounter whenever buyers are going to be purchasing a property. So, Doug, tell us what we got here.
Wanted to spend a little time talking about heating and air conditioning systems in the home. What we have here is a standard forced air furnace. This furnace is most likely about an 80 to 85% efficient furnace. What makes it more efficient is the fact that it has an inducer blower here, which helps to draw the combustion gases up and out of the furnace. It has an electronic, or in this case, a warming bar ignition system, so it doesn't have a standing pilot light. But what this furnace does is it has basically the ability to take warm, heated air and distribute it throughout the house through a duct system throughout the home. The important things that we look for on a home inspection is we open up the furnace. The first thing we look for is any evidence of any corrosion or evidence of past moisture or water damage. Water can come from a number of different sources on a furnace. It can come from the air conditioning system, which is in the evaporator coil above. It can come from the vent system itself, where condensation can drain back down into the furnace and damage and deteriorate the inducer blower as well as the heat exchanger. It can also come from humidifiers, which are oftentimes a big nuisance for many people to manage and care for, and oftentimes get neglected on a home. So we open up the furnace, we look for any of those evidence of corrosion or rust or dirt and debris, and any evidence that there may be a reason for concern there. Then we also ignite the furnace. We run it through an ignition cycle and a process so that we can watch the furnace go through its ignition cycle, as I said. And in that, we're looking to make sure that there's no evidence of distortion of the flame or distortion of the ignition process that might give us reason to suspect that there's some problems with the heat exchanger inside the furnace. We can't visually see the furnace or the heat exchanger inside the furnace, but we want to see any evidence that suggests there might be reason to have a HVAC professional look deeper if there is a concern.
Okay.
We're also, with the furnace, we're also looking to make sure that there's good airflow and good return air supply to the furnace. Oftentimes, one of the biggest distorters of return air supply is a filter. And the fact that homeowners tend to not change their filters as often as they should, it can greatly reduce the airflow through a system, which just really destroys the efficiency and therefore costs you more money to operate the furnace on a regular basis.
How often should a homeowner replace those filters?
It really depends a lot upon your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
If you have pets and you have other activities in the house that create more dirt and dust and debris, you'd likely want to change it on a monthly basis.
Okay.
If you have a relatively clean house with fewer people living in it and maybe no pets, then you can get by with every 30 to 90 days. But it's really important. It's a very low cost way for you to improve the health of your furnace and extend the life and the longevity of the furnace.
Okay, fantastic. And I know I've gotten this question before. People go to Home Depot or Lowe's and they see furnace filters ranging from low cost all the way up to really expensive for the exact same size.
Yeah.
Is there any recommendation between those?
It's one of the few things in life when cheaper is actually better.
Really?
Yeah. So with furnace, you want to make sure that you don't do anything that would block that airflow, as I was talking about a minute ago.
Uh-huh.
So the lower priced filters oftentimes are the better ones because they will catch the debris and they will catch the dust from the home, but they don't restrict the airflow.
Okay.
So buy the lower cost filters, replace them on a regular basis, and you'll have a happier, healthier furnace.
Okay, fantastic. And in the event that you did see some things that were concerned, what would you recommend next?
Then we would oftentimes recommend to have a professional HVAC technician come in and thoroughly clean and evaluate the furnace. They have the ability to take the furnace apart and do more than what we're allowed to do and be able to inspect the heat exchanger and make sure that it's safe and in good working condition. If there is any damage to a heat exchanger, that can be a source of carbon monoxide into the home and can create a significant safety concern. Typically, we don't see that in furnaces that are less than the 25 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when we inspect some of the older homes with much older furnaces, that heat exchanger becomes a real focal point for us to make sure that there's no evidence that there's a problem with carbon monoxide or combustion gases entering into the living space of the home.
Okay, and I think I remember you saying every 6 months to 12 months is how often you should have your furnace cleaned out?
Yeah, we would highly recommend for all homeowners to just get on a regular schedule. You can oftentimes, with many HVAC contractors, you can get on a recurring schedule to have it cleaned and inspected, usually in the spring before the cooling season, and then again in the fall before the heating season, so that you're getting a good coverage of making sure that the furnace is in good, healthy condition.
So right before the times that it's going to get really used a lot.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic. And one other thing that we might recommend is if you haven't gotten it cleaned in a while and you're thinking about listing your property, it may just be advantageous to take that extra step and go ahead and get it cleaned, get it certified that it's in proper working order now, and it'll save you that headache later. So
Sure.
Thank you very much, Doug, and thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next inspection.